What is up, Ravens? Welcome to the first episode of Wake Up Northwest. I'm Harrison Green, joined alongside
Dayton Bohr,
Oliver Christie, and Drew Donner.
We got a very jam-packed show, lots of sports this weekend, so let's get right into it. First, on our NFL slate, we had the Ravens playing the Bears, and let's just say the Bears didn't really stand a chance in this one.
Yeah, that went about how we expected it to go. Even though the Ravens were, 1-5 coming into this one?
Without Lamarvelous?
Without Lamar, you still expected them to kind of have their way with the Bears, and that's kind of how it went. The Bears are cursed. I don't think they'll ever be good. You know, when I die in, 70 years, I still think they'll have however many Super Bowls they have right now. This one's pretty simple. Caleb Williams couldn't really get in the end zone, and the Ravens could. So,
yeah.
Ravens 30, Bears 16.
Derrick Henry is getting up there on the touchdown list all time for running backs, and we could see him become one of, if not the greatest running backs of all time, if he keeps up this pace that he's been on throughout his career.
Yeah, as long as he plays a couple more years, it's doable.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely happen.
Yeah, moving on to the Dolphins at the Falcons. 34-10 win. I believe that's the Dolphins' second win. I could be wrong, but just a good win, good solid win for the Dolphins. And I also want to mention, the Jets at the Bengals, 39-38 win for the Jets for their first win of the season. What do you think about that?
It's my game of the week. I think it was such an amazing comeback from the Jets, but I think it's more of a collapse from the Bengals. Yeah. How are you up 2 scores in the fourth quarter and manage to choke the game?
Jets. Yeah, I have an answer for that. Their defense is awful.
Yeah.
I think my little brother's middle school football team would play better defense than the Cincinnati Bengals are.
They let a Justin Fields, who's been very mediocre his entire career, dominate him in the fourth, and it's just very okay.
Losing on a running back passing touchdown's got to be the worst way to go as well.
And then I also want to mention Eagles versus Giants. Obviously, Cam Scadaboo is, I believe, out for the season. Just a huge loss for the Giants, and I feel like everyone in the NFL, fans and people watch, just anyone, was impacted by that.
Game's not even worth watching anymore without Cam Scadaboo.
If the NFL had another reason to hate the Eagles, they injured a national treasure.
My heart is broken into 5 pieces because I don't get to watch my king Cam Scadaboo play anymore.
He was definitely really fun to watch.
Cancel the season. End it right now.
Giants legit just lost about 50% of their offense, too.
Yeah,
I don't want to watch football.
Very big loss for the Giants.
Can we talk about C.J. Stroud finally getting blocking for a week and how he actually did really well?
Yeah.
Like, we know he's got the potential from his rookie year, and they decided to trade away their whole offensive line last offseason.
You know, that's kind of what happens with quarterbacks. When you have time to throw the ball, you throw the ball a lot better. You know, we saw with Patrick Mahomes in Super Bowl against the Buccaneers when he was running for his life about 98% of the game.
Yeah, that was rough.
When you actually have time to throw the ball, that's when you can actually make accurate passes, make the correct reads, and get good results out of it. And C.J. Stroud is Exhibit A right there. His offensive line finally decided they felt like protecting him rather than letting him die. And, the Texans had a good game because of it.
And then another game for the Broncos versus Cowboys. They won 44-24. And they have improved to 6-2, and they are currently on top in the AFC West, just in front of the LA Chargers and the Chiefs, both at 5-3. What do you think about that?
I think the Broncos have been the best team in the AFC West, but they got to face the scariest team in 3 weeks, and they're coming off after a bye, the Chiefs. So I think that's going to be the game everybody's looking forward to, especially in the AFC West. It could end up being one of the biggest games of the year, if not the biggest game of the year, to decide the winner of the AFC West, and I think it should be a great matchup.
Yeah, that division is definitely way more competitive than it has been in years past.
Yeah, and that whole game from the Cowboys and Broncos just comes down to the fact that the Cowboys are the most confusing team I've ever seen. They have the best offense in the league, but the worst defense. And the Broncos have one of the best defenses, but they also have a solid offense. So since the Cowboys defense is so awful, that allowed Bo Nix to kind of do his thing with his eyes closed. But since the Broncos defense is also really good, even the Cowboys offense, 24 points is solid, but at the end of the day, when you're giving up 44, you're just not going to win as many games as you hope to. And Dak also had a pretty awful game, so, that kind of one thing follows another.
Yeah.
Dak's been a roller coaster this year. And Bo Nix and Sean Payton, them together has been very special so far. for the Broncos, way better than the Russell Wilson experiment last year.
Now, can we talk about a guy who I think, in my opinion, has inserted himself into the MVP conversation? Drake May, who has been an absolute star for the Patriots this year. They blew out the Browns 32-13. And looking at that game, you see Drake May, how good of a game he had. But you got to feel bad for the guy on the other side of the ball. In Myles Garrett, 5 sacks, and you lose by that much. I mean, there's no way he wants to play for that football team anymore. There's no way.
I mean, I just want to mention Drake May, 18 for 24 with 282 yards and 3 TDs. Just a really good performance by him. That's just an impressive, and of course that led them to the victory. Just a really good performance.
Yeah, well, as long as the Browns keep wanting to throw cash at Myles Garrett's face, I don't think he's going to go anywhere anytime soon. As long as they have the money for it, that just kind of shows how the Browns roster goes. They have their few star players, and everyone else is bad, to put it nicely. So, Myles Garrett's going to go off. He's really good at football, but at the end of the day, the Patriots have a more well-rounded team than Cleveland does. So, great effort for Myles Garrett. He's a freak athlete, but the rest of his team is very lackluster compared to New England.
I think the Patriots have kind of built this offense of a bunch of deep ball catchers for Drake May, because we know he likes to throw it far. And I think, guys like Mac Hollins, guys like Demario Douglas, guys like Kayshon Boutte really open up their offense to where there's better pass catchers than Stephon Diggs. Hunter Henry can have a bad game, but they still put up 32. And I think also their run game really showed up this week, which we haven't seen recently. And the resurgence of Travion Henderson, who had such an amazing preseason. We thought he was going to get a lot of carries, but they kind of sat him back for Ramondre Stevenson. But he really impressed, and I think they could go to lean on him in the run game further up this year.
Yeah, if you're going to use a high draft pick on a running back, might as well use him. And, although they didn't do it this week, they've been doing it a lot. Travion Henderson, very fast guy, and he's very good catching, too, for Drake May. Drake May just loves throwing the ball, and the Patriots have done a good job finding good budget options that fit what Drake May likes to do with the football, and we're seeing the results.
Can we ask, though, real quick, how long is the Dylan Gabriel experiment going to go?
Hopefully not much longer.
Yeah, it's been pretty, some of these throws he's missing just aren't even close to receivers that are 5 yards within the line of scrimmage.
Dylan Gabriel, give him credit. He was really good at Oregon, but
he's good at everywhere. He's good at
NFL's
UCF,
different league.
yeah, he's
he
good
was
at
good,
Oklahoma.
yeah.
He's good at Oregon.
He was
just
really good in college,
he's
but
a college quarterback.
I think it's time for Shadur Sanders to take over.
Mm-hmm.
I know you took him in the 5th round.
He's going to be the same thing.
But at the end of the day, it's another quarterback that you have to try. You can't just keep going with Dylan Gabriel. You got to start pulling out all the stops, see what works. So I think you got to go to Shadur now. Does it work? I don't know, but there's only one way to find out.
The thing I will say is the difference between going from an Oregon team to the NFL and a Colorado team to the NFL is Oregon recruits a lot better than Colorado. And so having better pass catchers, having a great O-line in front of you, versus Shadur, who had the highest pressure rate, was facing the most pressures in the Big 12 last year. Mm-hmm. And he still was able to put up great numbers. I think being able to work under pressure will help him more at the NFL level, which that's why I think he'll be a little better than Dylan Gabriel, especially this year.
His numbers had to be good at Colorado for him to be in the Ring of Honor there for going 13-12.
For sure.
Another notable game, of course, last night on Monday Night Football. Chiefs beat the Commanders 28-7. The first half was a little boring. I believe it was 0-0 at the half.
7-7.
7-7.
0-0 going into the second quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was.
3 interceptions in the first half.
There were so many. I think it went interception, turnover on downs, interception, turnover on downs.
Yep, that was the word.
Just not a pretty first quarter.
You kind of expected coming into the game that it wasn't going to be like one of those shootouts that we saw with the Packers and Steelers. But the amount of turnovers to start the game wasn't exactly what we were looking for. But thankfully, the Chiefs kind of picked it up. One of those Mahomes interceptions wasn't his fault. Travis Kelce hands turned into Vaseline. But at the end of the day, the Chiefs came back. They responded. They brought back their offense. Kareem Hunt had 2 touchdowns. Rashee Rice is back. Travis Kelce had a monster game. And at the end of the day, the Chiefs took care of business.
I think Kelce really made up for that drop in probably his best performance of the year so far. Getting that touchdown, getting those 99 yards, it's his season high this year. And, we saw Mahomes go from a really struggling first half, even with that drop. He was really struggling. He had a low completion percentage, 2 interceptions. Going to the half, the Commanders thought they had a chance in this one, and I didn't blame them for it. And then coming out of the half, Mahomes just flipped a switch.
Yeah.
And he turned back into that MVP player we know he can be. And I think with the 3 touchdowns, with the 299 yards, he's still at the top of that MVP conversation, right next to Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, just a really solid second half performance, and I believe that is the third game in the winning streak. They won 3 straight in a row, and the Chiefs also have a tough stretch of games ahead. They have at the Bills on Sunday, and at the Broncos, and then versus the Colts at home. That's just a really tough 3-game stretch for them.
Mariota continues to look like the career backup he is.
For sure. I think we're going to move on to college football here.
Yeah.
K-State over KU in one of the most historic matchups in the Big 12, in college football in general.
Yeah.
16 straight going into it for K-State, and KU was actually favored
They
in
were.
Lawrence, and they really thought they'd put up more of a fight than the 42-17 beating it was at the end of the day. Avery Johnson exceeded expectations, and Jalen Daniels struggled. So looking forward, how does KU bounce back from this rivalry loss?
I know they have Oklahoma State this next week, so that should be a good win for them. So that should be the starting point. I'm not sure of their next games, but I just know that's where it should start, is just refreshing, forgetting about this past game. You can't change it, moving on.
I just think the main thing is KU's got to realize what they are. They're never going to be a football school. They're going to be a team that is lucky to go 7-5 each year. That's
Wow.
a successful year for that program. Lance Leipold, he brought them back kind of, but they've also hit their ceiling with Leipold. They're never going to be a 9 or 10 win team. They've won 9 games once after winning the Rate Bowl, but they're never going to be a 10-win college football playoff contending team. They're always just going to be 7-5.
Why do you keep looking at me
3-4.
when you say this?
No,
I feel
I'm just looking
targeted.
at everybody.
Now, I'm gonna try to remember something. Oliver, didn't you make a bet
let's
on
chill.
another show?
Yeah,
about this?
Let's move on to the A&M LSU game. Obviously, great standout performance for Texas A&M, 49-25 win at LSU, and I believe LSU has fired their head coach, Brian Kelly. Yes.
Yep.
What do you think about that?
Another coach getting paid $50 million to sit on a
I
couch.
wish I could get fired from my job and get
Yeah.
paid $54 million by LSU.
Not bad.
Just absolutely unbelievable. These buyouts are getting insane. Like
Yeah.
these programs are hiring coach. They're having insane expectations to hire these coaches. They really truly think that just a coach will win them the national championship. While it helps, they also need to recruit. If you can't recruit, it's not going to do anything. And Brian Kelly and LSU, it was a weird fit from the get-go. I mean, the guy faked a Southern accent in front of the LSU basketball crowd the day after he got hired and his first time meeting them. It seemed like he always hated the state of Louisiana. He just was trying to get his own national championship, not a team national championship.
Yeah, for me, Marcel Reed is the best dual threat quarterback in college football right now.
Yeah.
He's running the ball at such a high level, passing the ball at a great level, and I think he's right now acceding right into the Heisman conversation. It's been a really weird year of college football. No, real high candidates. Like last year we had Travis Hunter, Ashton Genty, like real high candidates like that. There's not been many this year,
There's
but
not a lot of standouts.
I think Marcel Reed could really sneak into that conversation this year because of his rushing and passing ability.
He's very lucky to have an OC like Colin Klein right now, too,
For
because
sure.
Colin Klein is calling him the plays that like he can run the ball and do what he's best at, because he probably is best at carrying the football. But then he's also good at going over the top. And so Colin Klein, one of the best OCs in the game, I think he'll get a head coaching job this offseason.
Yeah, I agree.
Heisman's really a wide open race right now, and anyone can win it. Marcel Reed is definitely making a case, not only by putting up really good personal numbers, but his team is doing really good. And, on the other side, Garrett Nussmeier had a really good game too. 25 points for their offense is solid. Like, they didn't really have any weaknesses on the offense. It's just their defense that gave up 49 points. That's really what led to that loss for LSU.
Yeah, for sure. And another guy that's kind of in the Heisman conversation after avoiding an upset, Ty Simpson for Alabama, who's been a great quarterback for them this year. Looking to continue that. The late touchdown to seal the win over South Carolina. Probably shouldn't have been that close. Probably a little stressful if you're an Alabama fan. But at the end of the day, a win's a win, and they came away with it. So.
This was a trap game for Bama. I mean, coming off lots of ranked wins in a row. I mean, what was it, 4? Was it 4 ranked wins in a row?
I think so,
yeah.
Going and having to go to a good environment in the SEC like South Carolina, that's not an easy thing to do. And to come out there with a win in a game like that, I think is a really good job by them. And really, will take them to the next, or take them to playoff contention and SEC championship contention.
For sure.
I want to move on to another notable game. One of the biggest surprises of the year, at least for me, is Vanderbilt coming off a win versus Mizzou 10-17, and I believe Vandy is currently they move up to 9 in the AP poll, which is just really kind of a shocker for me. It came out of nowhere.
It's been great O-line play. It's been the blocking up front and the defense that has really showed up for Vanderbilt this year to make themselves contend in the SEC, which we did not expect going into the year. I still think A&M's the number 1 team. It's by far and away them, I think, but they're trying to put up a fight to really show themselves in the SEC what they can do.
Yeah. SEC really, they're the deepest league in the country by far. They have, I feel like, 7-8 really good teams. And I'm not going to lie, this Mizzou team, I feel like, with a healthy, good quarterback, we'll see how this next guy does after Pribula. But after Pribula, we're with Pribula. I truly think that they can win that Vandy game if they have them the entire game. And I truly think they're one of the best teams in the SEC when fully healthy.
Shout out to the true freshman, though, for stepping up and outpassing one of the guys that has been in the Heisman conversation, Pavia, just in the 4th quarter. And he had an amazing performance to try to drag them back in that game, and they were 1 yard away from tying it. So, that was really the difference, and shout out to the true freshmen making for the performance, but probably if they had their quarterback, they probably could have got that win done. Unfortunately, that's all we got time for today. This has been Wake Up, first episode, pretty good.
Yeah.
So,
Glad to
we'll
be
see
here.
you guys next week.
Next Tuesday. Take care, guys.
There we go.